Hey folks, it's your Canadian Info Warrior back at you again another week. And I'm doing something a little different this week. I may have to speak up a bit, I don't know, but I'm using a lapel mic instead of the big Yeti mic that covers half my face when I use it. So, um, the sound the sound is, I think, probably better on the Yeti, but the Yeti is too sensitive and it gets uncomfortably loud sometimes. So I thought I'd give this one a try and see how it goes. See if you like it or not. Tell me what you think about it down in the comments below. And, you know, I'm not going to beg, but I really do need you people to start commenting. It's what drives traffic to this video. When people are commenting, when there's activity in the comments section, YouTube flags that and says, hey, there's activity here. Let's show it to more people. And that's what I need. So if I could get more than just Gary and me commenting on here, that would be really great. Thank you very much. Like and subscribe as usual if you haven't already done so. So what are we going to talk about this week? Well, Richard Simmons passed away. That's interesting. I wonder if Pauly Shore is actually going to play him in the biopic. Because Pauly's been wanting to do it for a long time. And Richard, for whatever reason, said no. He didn't want Pauly Shore playing him. And Pauly wanted to get Richard's blessing before doing it. So he didn't want to just go ahead and do it without Richard's okay, without Richard's approval. Now that Richard's gone, I wonder if Pauly will just go ahead and do it. So that's interesting. I mean, Richard Simmons was quite the popular figure when I was growing up. That was, that was back in the late 70s and through the 80s that I grew up. And Richard's videos and his TV show were very, very popular. People liked Sweating to the Oldies with Richard Simmons. I remember that one. Sweating to the Oldies with Richard Simmons. I don't know if he really helped people lose weight. I imagine he helped a little bit, because aerobic exercises are very good for weight loss. Speaking of weight loss, I'm still working on it myself, but let's see, I'll give you a little bit of an update. It's been a slow process for me, but I know I've mentioned it before on this channel, so I figured I'd mention where I am now with that. At my heaviest, I was somewhere around 350, 345, something like that. And then a couple of years ago, with diet, I managed to bring it down to 300. And then I got below 300. But then I plateaued. I got to about 298, and I was very happy with it and wanted to keep going, obviously, because even 298 is not a healthy weight for even a guy my size. I mean, I'm 6'1", but still, 298 is not a healthy weight. Now, if I was 2 feet taller, stretch that out a bit, maybe that would be fine. But at my size, no, that's not healthy. And I wound up on blood pressure medication, and for a little while I was on what they refer to as pre-diabetes medication. I was just taking a pill to help with my sugar levels. But one of the common side effects of that pill was nausea, and I was feeling rather nauseous when I would get home from work in the morning. And when you're nauseous, there's only two things that you can think of to solve it, and one is that your stomach is empty and you need food. And that was the way I leaned on that, because that was the feeling I was getting. My stomach was empty and I needed food. I needed sugars. My sugars were low, and that's, I don't know if that's actually what was happening, because I never tested my sugars, but that's what it felt like. It felt like my sugars were low, that like the dose of that medication was too high. And I discussed that with my doctor, and he said, okay, we'll take you off of it, but you really got to keep an eye on your sugars. So that was fine. I got off of that medication. I'm still on the blood pressure medication, but as I lose weight, that will eventually work itself out. And I do have my own blood pressure cuff that I use to check it periodically. So if it starts to go low, then I'll know it's time to talk to my doctor about coming off that medication as well, which would be really nice. So anyway, from 298, I made a few more dietary changes. I have almost completely cut sugar out of my diet. The only sugar I use now is raw cane sugar. I don't use beetroot, white sugar. And there's very few things that I use it in. Right now, at this time, I would say coffee is the only thing I use it in. And I only put about half a teaspoon in my coffee. And that's this coffee. That's a large coffee. And it's just half a teaspoon of sugar. And I use 18% table cream. So, I've gone more towards the carnivore end of things. I'm basically eating meat only as much as possible. Like I mentioned in last week's video, if I when we go for our weekly breakfast at the Husky, I have an omelet with mushrooms and cheese and ham in it, but I don't have home fries on the side. I don't have toast on the side. I don't eat that stuff at home. I don't eat hash browns, none of that stuff. So I'm basically cutting as much carbs as I can, and replacing it with as much meat as I can, or dairy, cheese, milk, that sort of thing. And anyway, because of those endeavors, I'm now down to 284 when I weighed myself yesterday. And in the past, because of that little bit extra, it's only an extra 20 pounds that have gone down, thereabouts, not even 15, 284 from 298, 14 pounds. But now I'm starting to see changes in my waist size. I'm now wearing a kilt that I couldn't have worn 10 years ago. I could wear it 10 years ago. 10 years ago was about the last time I was able to wear it. And I outgrew it. And I bought replacement kilts because I love wearing kilts, especially in the summer. And so I bought those replacement kilts, and they were 52s. Now, of course, kilt waist size is different than pant waist size. So these kilts are 52s. Well, now I'm really having to cinch them up. I had to punch an extra hole in my belt and everything just to be able to wear those kilts. But I've got one kilt from about, I think my ex-wife bought it for me maybe 12 years ago, and I haven't been able to wear it in at least 8 or 9 years, and now it fits. So, encouraged by that, I went to my dresser and I looked for a couple pairs of pants that I used to really like wearing but could no longer fit in, because my pant sizes are 42 to 44 is what I was wearing. Usually 42 if it was jeans, 44 if it was khakis. Well, these pants that I've been wanting to wear that I haven't been able to fit into for several years are camouflage cargo pants. I can fit in both of them, and they're a size 40. So that's good. I can fit into those pants now. I'm really happy with that. And I like to keep going. I want to get to the point, obviously, where I have to replace my entire wardrobe because I've lost too much weight to wear any of it. Now, of course, that costs money, so I don't want to get to that point too fast. But yeah, that's obviously the goal. If I could see myself in a pair of 36s, I'd be really impressed. I'd be very impressed by that. So that's kind of the goal now. And I've started working out finally. I told you last week that I canceled my membership at the gym, and that was partly because I've got exercise equipment here. And so what I have right now is an exercise bike, a stationary bicycle. So I've actually started using that lately. I started this week, starting on Monday, and I'll admit, I was only able to do 5 minutes on it. My legs started burning after 5 minutes, but you got to remember, I've been pretty sedentary for about 10 years now. So it's going to take a while to build the endurance back up. But I do 5 minutes on it every morning. So I think that's a step in the right direction. And hopefully now, between that and the changes to my diet, I will continue to see this spare tire shrinking and my waist shrinking. So, Saturday, today is Thursday the 25th as I'm recording this, and it will probably be uploaded by tonight. So Saturday the 27th is when we'll get together for our, as Sterling likes to call it, the Freedom Warriors Breakfast Club. We're all unvaxxed, and we're all very much against mandatory vaccinations. We're all very much against a lot of the measures that Trudeau used during the pandemic, or the plandemic. And we all want to see him convicted of treason. I don't know if that makes us freedom warriors, but I mean, that's why we want to see him convicted of treason. We want to see him out of office, and we want to go back to a freer way of living because Trudeau is a tyrant. So that's coming up on Saturday. And apparently we're going to have the full crew, all 6 of us, on Saturday. Me and Sterling, our buddy Gord, Irish. He's more a friend of Sterling's than he is a friend of mine. I only know him through Sterling, but they used to bounce together back in the bar days. And then there's Scotty and his brother Murray. So there's going to be 6 of us. Should be all there for breakfast this Saturday. So that'll be fun. I was going to talk about the recent extra information we've been getting about the Trump assassination attempt, but I think I'll leave that for my Canuckistan Reacts channel. And I think on this channel, I think we're going to call it right around here. And see how this works out, especially with this microphone. It's not a new microphone. I've had it for years. But I like not having this big thing in my face. So hopefully the sound on this is good enough for you. Good enough for my liking as well. And you know, I always say Lord willing and Daffy Duck willing, I'll see you next week. Well, I'm sure some of you wonder why I say Daffy Duck willing. The reason why I do that is it's a nod to Jerry Doyle, who played Michael Garibaldi on the sci-fi series Babylon 5. And there was one episode, you may remember if you ever watched it, where Michael invited Ambassador Delenn over to watch cartoons. She had never seen Earth cartoons. So he invited her to his quarters to watch cartoons. And she comes into his quarters and she sees this big, bold picture of Daffy Duck up on the wall. And she says, "Oh my goodness, who is that?" And Garibaldi, without missing a beat, says, "Oh, that's the ancient Earth god of chaos." So, as the god of chaos, I have to ask for his blessing to allow me to continue this for one more week. So, Lord willing and Daffy Duck willing, we'll see you next week.